And a very good evening to you, and welcome to today's edition of Politics 101. It's Monday night. It's the first day of the traditional work week, and it's the second week. We're entering the second week of the teachers' strike in Guyana. Welcome to Politics 101. All those of you who are joining us from in Guyana, welcome. Welcome to you. If you're joining us from Berbice, welcome. Welcome to Politics 101. If you're joining us from the Essequibo, welcome. Welcome to Politics 101. Those of you joining us from the hinterland, Mabaruma, there in the northwest, welcome. The teachers from Mabaruma have been in the news recently. Today, welcome to Politics 101. Of course, those of you who are joining us from the various parts of Berbice, West Berbice, east of the Berbice River Quarantine, down the Kanji Creek, the people of Barakara and others down there, very, very good evening to you. And of course, those of you closer to the city, closer to Georgetown, East Coast Demerara, West Coast Demerara, East Bank Demerara, and of course, those of you who are in Region 10, Wisma, Mackenzie, and surrounding areas. And of course, those of you further afield, Region 7, Region 8, Region 9, good evening and welcome to Politics 101. It's the second week of the teacher strike, and so we're on the move. Our people are on the move, and when we're on the move, we have got to stay very close to the action. Welcome to those of you joining us from the wider Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, right down there in the southern Caribbean, right up to Jamaica and the Bahamas in the north. Welcome to Politics 101. Someone told me that they pick us up from in Cuba. One of the students there made contact with us. If you join us from Cuba, very good night to you. Very good night. Beautiful island. Always a wonderful experience. I had my first experience in Cuba a couple of years ago, and what an experience it was. Propaganda is a hell of a thing, If you listen to what people say about a place, you then form opinions about that place. And then you get there and it's not what you hear in the propaganda. Very good evening to all the Guyanese in Cuba. And if you're joining us, welcome. Welcome to all of you in the Eastern Caribbean. We understand that the weather has not been too nice there. There was a cold front there. Lots of rain in St. Kitts Nevis, Antigua. Here's hoping the weather improves in those areas. If you're in Jamaica, and I know we have quite a few people in Jamaica who are joining us. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to those of you joining us from the British Virgin Islands. Of course, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Welcome. Welcome to those of you joining us from St. Martin. And those of you in North America, in New York, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Maryland, the Virginia area. If you're out there in the Midwest, in Illinois, Chicago, where our people tend to be, welcome. And in the South, from Texas, kind of Southwest, moving right down to South. Those of you in Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, and of course in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Politics 101. Miami, those of you who are out in the West Coast, on the West Coast, the Southwest, California, Arizona, and some of you, I understand, are joining us from Washington State. Washington State's up there in the Northwest. Wherever you join us from, welcome to Politics 101 on a Monday night, Monday evening. Brothers and sisters in Canada, north, Toronto, Ontario area. Welcome to Politics 101. Further out, Montreal. Welcome to Politics 101. It's the place to be at 7 o'clock Guyana time, Monday through Friday. Is the place to be. Tonight we continue our coverage of the teachers' strike. Our people are on the move. They're on the move. Welcome to Politics 101. And those of you joining us from Europe, welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to Politics 101. Especially those of you joining us from England. It's night there. And we continue to be eternally grateful for the sacrifices that you make in staying up this late to join our program, join the struggle. And it's not easy because this is the first show of the evening, and then we have Shara Duncan coming on at 8 o'clock, and then Mark Benchop at 9 o'clock, by which time it's very much into the morning there in England. Welcome to Politics 101. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. You know, you sometimes have to take a little time out from the rigors of the politics and relax a little bit, spend some time with family and spend some time with yourself. Spend some time with yourself. And so I hope you were able to do some of that for the weekend. Tonight we are expected to be joined by the General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, Sister Coretta McDonald. She's going to join us to talk a little bit about the strike action that is being taken by the teachers. It's the big news, and it's the big news not just in Guyana, but in further afield. I have been on a few programs in the Caribbean talking about the teacher strike, fundamental issues that are being raised. And once again, our country is at the crossroads. We are always there. We're always there at the crossroads. Another moment in time. Sister Coretta is going to join us in a few minutes. The General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union, former president of the Trade Union Congress, and we're going to be talking about the teachers' strike. The teachers' strike has opened up old wounds. It has really brought us face to face with this government and where it is, where our country is. You know, sometimes our people have doubts. Sometimes our people have doubts about the nature of government and the nature of governance. And that is understandable, because many of us start from the philosophical standpoint that human beings are inherently good. And so if human beings are inherently good, then the governments that they create are inherently good. So we start from that humanist philosophical standpoint. And so when we see governments moving in a certain way, we give them the benefit of the doubt, even when we don't vote for the government. And I know a lot of people are opposed to the government who still give the government the benefit of the doubt. And of course, there are people who voted for the government, understandably, would give the government the benefit of the doubt. And those of us who are on the front lines, we are constantly critiquing the government, holding the government accountable, as they say. And in that regard, we hold the government up for public scrutiny. And we've been doing that for the last 3 years. In my own case, I feared where a one-party government under the PPP would lead us. It was my great fear as we went into the 2020 election. And I expressed that fear publicly. I wrote, and shortly I'm going to publish some of my writings of that period. I wrote saying what my fears were. And I start from the standpoint that human beings are inherently good. And so governments are inherently good. You know, in political science, we say, is government a necessary good, or is it a necessary evil? Is it an unnecessary good, or is it an unnecessary evil? And those are questions that we face every day. I start off by believing that government arises out of the people of the society. And I believe that human beings are inherently good. And so I have to give the government the benefit of the doubt. However, there are mitigating factors. At the 2020 election, we had drawn forced oil. And so for me, the big question at that juncture, as it is at any pivotal juncture, is who governs? That was the question we faced at the time of independence. And we answered the question in a way that we, I think, regret. In a multi-ethnic society where ethnic groups do not want to be governed by the other, if we answer the question that who governs, that the majority governs, so the majority will have to be a majority of one race or the other. And so it has been since independence. And we have seen the experience of both major parties / major races whenever they have held power. And what we have seen is that the further we move away from independence, the more dangerous one-party government has been. The PPP has dominated government from 1992 to the present. So for 32 years, the PPP has dominated government, all about 5 years. And many of us have had to stand up against that government. Even when we give the government the benefit of the doubt. In 1992, I gave the PPP government the benefit of the doubt after almost 3 decades of the PNC government. I felt that the PNC government, despite some positives, had not lived up to our independence expectations. And so I was willing to give the PPP the benefit of the doubt. I thought they started on the wrong foot in that they reneged on the first promise. And the first promise was that they were going to set up a government, a national government, and they reneged on it. But as we move deeper into the PPP government, one of the things that was quite striking is the way they dealt with workers. The PPP prided itself on what it called a communist party, a Marxist party, in defense of what is called the working class. And they quickly reneged on their promise to workers. And when you're talking about workers, you're talking about the right to collective bargaining. That's why we have trade unions. We don't have trade unions for sport. Trade unions arise out of the need for collective bargaining. That's where trade unions come from, the origins of trade unions. The first trade union, of course, in our part of the Caribbean, 1919, right here in Guyana, the British Guyana Labor Union then. Well, a lot of us don't like where it is now, but trade unions arise out of the need for workers to bargain for better wages and better conditions. And so when you hear people say that a strike is illegal, a strike is enshrined in the laws of Guyana. Trade Union Recognition Act is in itself the testimony. So workers have a right to strike under the law. As a kind of historian, I always remind people that in 1953, 71 years ago, the British invaded Guyana, which was then its colony, because the government of the day, our first self-government, made some small reforms. And one of the reforms it attempted to make was to give workers the right to form their trade unions, to recognize them. And the British was incensed by that. Within the context of the Cold War, they saw that as heresy, and they invaded Guyana. We eventually got the Trade Union Recognition Act. And so workers have the right to strike, to withhold their labor. That's what a strike is. Every day we go out there, we are selling our labor. What the old time labor theorists used to call the labor power. And if you go there, you're selling your labor, you have a right to withdraw your labor and say, I'm not selling. I'm not selling at this price. And that's what the teachers are doing. They first of all are saying, you have a right to bargain with us. You are the government. We elect you. And if you decide that collective bargaining, you are not going to recognize it, what do you expect the private sector to do? Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. We are rapping tonight about the teacher strike, which has entered its second week. And we have ready to go with us the General Secretary of the Teachers Union, herself a target of the government, and this always happens. Governments, but especially this government, likes to personalize things because they personalize governance. They personalize governance. It's their property, the government. The state is their property. And so when workers organize themselves, they like to, it's Coretta McDonald strike. Well, you know, Coretta McDonald has a couple of things going for her. She can go to sleep at night knowing that she did one of the things that I think is the greatest test of political integrity. And that is, she helped to lead a strike against a government that she supported. You all hear me? Your greatest test of your political integrity is not when you strike against or you oppose those who you don't agree with politically. It's when on a matter of principle, you oppose those who you agree with politically, but you disagree with them on a particular issue. I remember meeting Coretta one day during that time. I think it was on Regent Street. I think I was going east and she was going west. And we stopped and we talked for about 5 minutes. And both of us were supporters of the coalition government. And we talked about our reasons for standing with teachers against a government that she supported. Was she trying to overthrow that government? Oh, no. She was opposing the government on the issue of workers' rights to collective bargaining and to negotiate what they want to sell their labor for. And so when she does it today against this government, she's being consistent. So, Mr. Jagdio, when you say Coretta McDonald told you that this and told, you're not the only person she talked to. And she wasn't talking no secret. Our position was very clear on the matter of workers' rights. There is no discrimination. And she can say that. But the leader of GAWU cannot say that. We are still waiting on the leader of GAWU to say, I stand with the teachers. And that the sugar workers stand with the teachers. So I just want to clear that up. Because Coretta goes to sleep at night with our conscience clear. That is, for me, is the greatest test. And you all have heard me said on this program before. When I'm fading now, I'm getting a little bit older, but I'm still up for the struggle. And I always say if I go into a political war, I want two people with me, two women with me. I choose in Simona Brooms and Coretta McDonald. Not just because they're fiery, but Coretta on a matter of principle. So good evening, welcome to Politics 101. Please share the link. We're doing it. Coretta McDonald is here. Let us bring her in and let us talk about the teacher strike. The teachers are on the move. They're showing us the way. And that's the talk of the country. Coretta, good evening.
Well, good evening to you, Dr. Hines, and thank you for having me on your program. And good evening to all of your listeners. Let me say to you, we are frightened. We striking. And I want that message to be clear. We are frightened nothing, we striking. And I'm saying that to say, teachers are educators. And educators don't operate willy-nilly like some of our politicians. Educators think through issues. And when it gets to a point where educators feel that we should not exercise any more patience, then educators would act. We have submitted to this regime, and let me say to you, this wicked regime, our proposal since 2020, that proposal was supposed to span 5 years. So it covered 2019 to 2023. Let me back up a little. In 2016, we signed an agreement with the coalition government, which spanned 2 years, 2016, 2018. At the end of 2018, we prepared our new proposal for 2019, 2023, because this was the 5 years proposal that we were going to be having now. Mind you, this 5 years proposal is nothing strange to the PPP. It's nothing strange to the PPP. As a matter of fact, when the first proposal that the GTU signed, first multi-year agreement, it was signed when Jagdio served as president in 2007. Implementations began in 2008. And from then on, we have been signing multi-year agreements with them. The formula is the same. All that is different are figures, new figures that we plug in. All that are different are the new figures that we plug in. So when the PPP jumping around the place to give the impression that they don't understand this proposal, they are being very, very dishonest. Teachers would have exercised patience from 2020 to now. What would have agitated teachers is the fact that, one, the president refused to engage us seriously during those years. And then last year, of course, they gave monies to GAU, which is another union. GAU represents the sugar workers, basically. They gave monies to GAU 1 year in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, in 2023, and now they're saying again in 2024 that they're going to be talking with the executive of the union. So they're giving more monies to GAU. As a matter of fact, in this budget, they have allotted $6 billion to Gaisuku. Now, as the teachers' union, we saw it as disrespect when this government selected last year 100 specially selected teachers to meet with the president at State House, whether to have breakfast or lunch, I don't know. But we found that very distasteful because those teachers who were identified, none of them has the authority to speak on behalf of this registered body called or named the Guyana Teachers Union. None of them have the authority to speak on behalf of us. Now, these 100 were selected. Let me give you a quick one. From Region 1, Maruko. First teacher is the sister of former Foreign Affairs Minister Caroline Rodriguez. That's the first teacher. Second teacher is the brother of Mr. Harris, who was implicated in all this skullduggery during the 2020 elections with the ballots and so on coming from Region 1 when they couldn't find the statutory documents, the ballots were soaked. His brother. The third young lady, it is alleged that she is the child mother of Ganga Prasad, who served as a PS at education and at local government election. You're getting the drift?
Yes,
I'm hoping that our audience, that they're getting the drift.
Friends, family, and favorites.
All right. The other young man is the son-in-law of a prominent PPP acolyte in Region 1. Now, you tell me, what do you think those 4 individuals will come to State House to say to President Ali? More than that, some of them are heading schools and some of them are junior teachers in their schools. For those who are head teachers, their staff did not know that they were going out to talk to the president. For the junior teachers, their head teacher did not know where they were going. All their head teacher got was, Miss will be absent today. And she should put that in log on school business. So the education officers calling to say that. Now, when you have family and friends affair, do you think families will go against families? There are not many families who are right-minded and right-thinking, and who are straight. There are families, especially within the PPP, who are crooked. So they turned up there to speak not on behalf of the teachers, on their own behalf. Putting that aside, I heard the president talk about, after that meeting, he said, oh, there is a comprehensive package for teachers. Well, teachers still waiting for that comprehensive package. And just last week, Friday, we learned that there is a best welfare package that is now coming for teachers. We don't know what the comprehensive package had in it. Maybe that went when he signed that agreement with Maduro. That comprehensive package probably went there. So it's a new package. But I'm saying all of this to say, the PPP government believes that teachers are stupid. That's what they believe. Secondly, they have refused to talk to the Guyana Teachers Union because, as far as they're concerned, one, the majority of teachers within the teaching system are Afro-Guyanese, and it is presumed that they are coalition supporters, so we can punish them. Thirdly, they feel that because Coretta McDonald is the General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, and she's also a member of parliament for the APNU AFC, that they cannot talk to us, as if Coretta McDonald is the union. But you know what? I'm happy that our teachers would have heeded the call. As a matter of fact, our teachers said to us, if y'all are not going to make a move, and that's the executive they were talking to, we will remove you and do what we have to do. Our teachers have said so. And I'm happy that our teachers on the Essequibo coast, they came out in their numbers, because this is not about politics. And this is what the teachers have been saying. This is not about politics. This is about bread and butter and survival for us. Our teachers in Maruka and Mabaruma and Port Kaituma, they are out of schools. Our teachers from regions 2, 1 to 10, and Georgetown included, they are out of schools. And every day, the support is growing larger and larger. We have parents who are coming out there to support us. We have persons stopping by to drop off water, juice, ice, some biscuits, some food, some chana. Every day, all across this country, persons are sponsoring teachers snacks and their water and their juice. As a matter of fact, we saw in Region 2, persons have donated 2 tents to the teachers so that they can open the tents and be under the shelter. You know, what I found even more wicked with this government is the fact that when the union signaled to them 2 weeks ago that we were going to embark on industrial action, maybe they thought that by calling up the teachers in their strongholds and offering them monies, that will deter the teachers from coming out on strike. But you know what? Many of our teachers who received those calls, they said to them, we are not up for sale. You can't buy me. Stop calling my number. Our teachers have sent to us messages from the CEO, messages from the Minister of Education, messages from regional executive officers, messages from counselors. Some counselors even approached some of our teachers, and the teachers said, we don't care what you give to us. We will be on the streets. And so when they think that they're going to push teachers off the breadline, because I've seen them now send out a missive there to say they're going to cut teachers' salary, I want to remind them, this is 2024. 2025 soon come. And the people who you are putting on the breadline will be the same persons who you would want to have their exes come elections day. I want you to understand that. More than that, when you suffer little children, and our male teachers, you know, my heart go out every time for our male teachers, because our males feel less of a man when they cannot provide for their families, you know? And so they have to resort to picking up a grass cutter, going to cut grass in front of people's yards and in their yards. They have to do that on weekends and in the afternoons rather than spending the time with their families. They have to resort to being security guards. They have to resort to driving taxis. Our female teachers have to resort, after they're finished with school, many of our nursery school teachers, after they're finished with school at 2 o'clock, they are at Giftland working the 3 to 11 or 10 shift. You know, that's what our teachers go through in this country. And this government continue to turn a blind eye. And you know what they talk about? The president said the other day, teachers must be patient. There's a package coming for you in 2027. Now, this is 2024. I don't know what tomorrow holds, so give me what belongs to me now. Don't tell me about 2027. The time that you took to say you're going to talk with GAU, why you didn't put them on the back burner and decide you're going to talk with the teachers. But this is a whole plot of being vindictive. We know this government, how they operate. This is them being vindictive. And I want to say to them, we've gotten 85% of our teachers so far on the streets. Tomorrow, while I was coming from Bartica today, I received phone calls that some teachers from senior secondary schools in Georgetown will be out on the front line tomorrow, you know? And I'm hoping that while I'm saying all of this, and I want to express our gratitude to our teachers for standing up for this cause, I want to say to our parents, we love you and we love your children. We don't want to be out of schools, but an empty bag cannot stand. When teachers stand in front of the classrooms, they must be comfortable. They must be able to concentrate on what they're doing to perform effectively in our classrooms. We cannot have teachers in classrooms who are thinking they're Oh my gosh, my rent is due this afternoon. I wonder what excuse I'm going to make to the landlord. Oh, I don't have gas. I wonder where I could catch a little raise from to buy the gas. If teachers have to be thinking like this, then they can't perform effectively in our classrooms. And when you know, what angered the teachers even more last week was the fact that when we released the salaries of our ministers, of those ministers, when we looked at the salary of a maid as compared to that of the teacher, when we look at the salaries of a chauffeur as compared to that of a teacher, a chauffeur receives $360,000. How many of our teachers are taking that home? The maid receives $161,000. How many of our teachers are taking that home? And this government is behaving as if, oh, the strike is political, and the strike is political, and a whole lot of nonsense, and don't be misled by Coretta McDonald. But I had to tell them, if one woman, Coretta McDonald, could mislead tens of thousands of teachers, then they got problems on their hand. They got serious problems. But rather than talking to us, they're issuing missives. But let me signal to you, if tomorrow you don't say anything to us, our teachers will be out there on Wednesday. If on Wednesday you don't say anything to us, our teachers will be out there on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and the following week. And we are not going to back down, because we know this government is a government that bullies, and they are now turning on in full their dictatorship approach. But we will not be moved by that. I want to say finally, before you ask me other questions, Irfan Ali, as the teacher said, when he wasn't president, he knew what we should get. Now he come the president, it seems as if he forget. The teachers are saying that because we remember when he was in parliament giving that glorious presentation. What happened to teachers? What happened to the nurses and the policemen? And what his government will do? More than 25%. We are still waiting for it from since 2020. We saw the vice president talking about 50% salary increases. We're still waiting for it. We saw the same vice president during 2018 complimenting Coretta McDonald. The same Coretta McDonald who they're brutalizing and abusing now, they complimented her when she stood up against the coalition. And Jack Dew himself said, the strike is legal. Teachers have real issues. President Granger, you need to talk to the teachers. President Granger, you need to cut your spending on dietary, travel, and the rental of buildings. And he highlighted the bond where they were renting at that time. And he said, cut out all of those and pay the teachers. Now he's vice president and he's saying the strike is political. Priya Manik Chand, and this is how hypocritical these persons are. Priya Manik Chand, on her Facebook page, every day, she had a comment there in support of the teachers and the teachers union, and urging the Minister of Education to speak with the teachers, urging the president to speak with the teachers. And today, Priya Manik Chand is saying, oh, she's an attorney and she will fight us to the last. Well, the teachers got a good one for you, Priya. But you know, when you boil all of this down, these people just don't care about poor people. They don't care that poor people's children are out of schools. You know why? Because their children are being tutored in private schools. So that these children who are attending public schools because their parents can't afford it, they don't care about their well-being.
Sister Coretta McDonald here tonight, updating us on the teacher strike which started last week, Monday. And she gave us the stunning numbers there. 85% of the teachers are on strike. Let's repeat that. 85% of the teachers are on strike. And I'm stressing that because, you know, for 3 years, the teachers and other workers have been derided by our own supporters who are saying, oh, you all taking that, and oh, you all this, and oh, you all do that. You know, but time is longer than twine. And I had occasion to say on this program and other programs that a strike is not an easy thing. A strike has to be last resort. And so when you see trade union leaders say we're going on strike, it's because all other doors are closed.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that gives the strike more legitimacy. As you look at the faces of the teachers, they're not just African Guyanese faces.
Nope.
Look at Essequibo.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Borbis.
Oriala.
Oriala. Some of those people, I'm sure, voted for the PPP.
And I.
That's right. But because the teachers' union played the cards the right way,
Yep.
that is, they exhausted all the legal, formal, and not so formal avenues because the strike has legitimacy. And I want us to understand that as political people, as political supporters, everything has a season, everything has a time, and you have to go through the process. Coretta, let's talk about collective bargaining, because your wages is, of course, the outcome of collective bargaining. If there's no collective bargaining, there is no real wage package. The government can say what they say. What they told the 100 teachers, they're going to give them an upgrade in their allowances. Trade union businesses, first thing is you have to talk to the trade unions. You have to talk to the. Tell us how many times have you all reached out as a union to the government, asking them to talk? I understand they said they misplaced, missive and all kind of thing, but give us a sense of what goes on behind the scene between trade unions and employers.
All right, let me say to you, the dishonesty in all of this is massive when it comes to the PPP. It's massive. Because the PPP are the ones who spoke about democracy. They spoke, they showered and they lambasted the coalition government, and they were urging them to return to collective bargaining. Now they're in the seat. It's a totally different situation. But I want to say, in 2020, August of 2020, when Priya Manikchand assumed office again as Minister of Education, we met with her. We submitted to her a copy of our proposal. We spoke briefly on that proposal, and she said to us, well, she's going to have the PS and other members who will form the committee to meet with us so we can talk. We had, I think, maybe 2 such meetings. The poor PS then, Alfred King, could not give us any definite word because nothing was said to him. And he can't commit himself to anything. So when we met the first time, we said we were going to look at numbers according to your scale, the salary scale. The ministry was tasked with getting up all the numbers because you pay the teachers, so you must know the numbers that you have. And then we were going to do the math, how much you can offer. First of all, we were hoping that when we would have submitted that proposal, we would have received a counter proposal so that we can look at, and then we come to the table looking at these 2 documents, pulling out what is common in the 2 documents and what is unlike. We start our discussions on that. It has not happened up to day like today. But we went there in good faith, like everything else. My president and some of my colleagues, they are not as aggressive as I am. And so they said, GS, you got to exercise a little patience. So we went to the next meeting. This is the 3rd meeting. And then we went to a 4th meeting. And nothing with regards to what we are talking about in the proposal is up for discussion. We hear about the concerns that we raise, which are most of them are outside of the proposal. We hear about the classroom sizes that we've asked them to reduce classroom sizes. We talk about writing of notes of lessons. We don't want daily notes of lessons. We talk about scheme of work. We talk about so many records that teachers have to be filling in that all mean the same thing. And so those are some of the issues that they came with. We also threw out to them the issue of the master teacher approach, where we are saying, look, Many of our teachers in schools are very good classroom teachers. But when you remove them from the classroom through promotion and you make them administrators, they sometimes crumble because that's not what they're good at. But of course, the teachers have to apply for promotion because that's the only way to secure a better pension and a better gratuity. So teachers opt to go. So we said to them, look, let's look at this plan. We can follow what
We've lost your audio for a minute there.
Okay, right.
Okay.
So we said to them, let's look at the plan that they have in Trinidad and Jamaica, and we can tweak to suit ourselves. So we can apply the master teacher program or project in Guyana, where we are not going to promote these very good math and science teachers and social studies and accounts teachers, but we gave them the salaries that is equivalent to the position that they were going to apply for, whether it's a deputy or a SM or a HOD or even a head or even headship, as long as they're qualified, we were going to grant them those positions. So those are some of the issues, the concerns that we brought to the table, that the ministry, they would have taken those, modified them, and put them on a list of 27 that they're saying, look, we did this for teachers, look, we did that for teachers. A whole lot of untruth. However, we submitted the proposal again to Ministry of Labor, because every time we send our proposal to the Ministry of Education, we send a copy to the Chief Labor Officer, because we wanted them to be kept abreast with what we are doing. And then we wrote to the President. As a matter of fact, we wrote to the Ministry of Labor. We did not get any response from them. We wrote to the President. So it's 2020, 2021, 2022. In 2022, I think it might have been December, somewhere there, the President said to us, the issue is going to be addressed. He's going to address the issue. That was all. He didn't say how and when. In 2023, when we wrote to the President again, asking him to intervene, the President said then, look, he's going to put a 3-man committee in place. Gail Teixeira, Sonia Parag, and Priya Manik Chand. They were the 3 who were going to be speaking on behalf of government. And we had our team to speak. We met, the first meeting that we met at, we had to go this entire proposal all over again. We had to explain what this document is all about, even though they got copies of the document, you know. All right, you recognize the delaying tactics and all the shade and so on that they throw in there. So we went there and we explained what the package is all about. We were told that the next meeting, we were going to break down the proposal into 3 or 4 committees so that we can have persons looking at some aspects and some other persons looking at other aspects. And then we will bring all together rather than the entire committee going through everything. We felt good about that. And so we divided our officers into the various groups, and we said we were going to work, we were going to provide whatever materials we had to provide, and the ministry would provide, so that Ministers Gail Teixeira, Sonia, and Priya would be able to talk to us. 2 meetings after that, we were told, oh, they did not get the information from the regions because the regional education officers, they failed to submit the information on time. The next meeting, oh, they got the information, but they are waiting on the Ministry of Finance to give them word on it. That's 4 meetings we're talking about there. The next meeting, we were called like about a day before the meeting to say, one of them is out of the country and we can't have the meeting. They're asking for rescheduling of the meeting. That rescheduling of that meeting went for about 3 weeks. We continued with the patience and the tolerance and everything else. And we had the final meeting when the date. When we turned up for that meeting, thinking that we were going to hear some positive things from these folks, we were told then by Minister Teixeira that she's very sorry. But she has nothing new to say to us. Mind you, before, during these meetings, they kept saying to us, they cannot commit to anything. They cannot commit to anything. That meeting, they said to us, they don't have any information to give to us. At that point, I got pretty upset because here is it. We had our regional vice president, Essequibo, who traveled from the Essequibo coast to come for this 1 o'clock meeting. We had the president traveling from the quarantine to come to this meeting. We had the regional vice president, Berbice, traveling from the west coast of Berbice to come to this meeting. We had 2 colleagues traveling from Region 3 to come to this meeting. Now, a simple email could have said to us, sorry, but we'll have to reschedule because we don't. So I told her, I said, you brought people here to waste their time. You couldn't send a message to us. well, we wanted to tell you that, and I don't see it as waste time. I said, yes, it's waste time, because what am I benefiting from this? And it is at that point that we decided all avenues that we have ventured into have been exhausted. So we wrote the Ministry of Labor and we said to them, our talks have reached stalemate and we are requesting from you that you intervene and we go to conciliation. We even sent to them the document that speaks to avoidance of grievance and dispute, because they didn't have that document. So we sent a copy of the document to them and we copied the letter to education as well as the president. There's a 14-day span. The 14 days went, and so we wrote to them now to say, look, we wrote you asking for conciliation. That period has passed, and so we're asking for arbitration. Please tell us when you're ready to speak with us, and by that time we will have names of persons whom we think you can choose from to be the arbitrator. We got no response from them in September or October or November or December, except for about 3 weeks ago when they called us to say, and that would have been after we wrote to them saying, we are going to embark on industrial actions. We are going to ask our teachers to withdraw their services. They wrote to us saying, oh, they misplaced the documents we sent to them. And if we would be kind enough to resend the documents. We did that. Rather than addressing those 2 correspondences that we sent to them, they decided to write to us to say the impending strike action that we're talking about.
We seem to have lost Sister Coretta there for a minute. She's going to come back on. Welcome to Politics 101, the riveting program tonight. We've lost Coretta for a minute. She's going to come back on, hopefully. But you are hearing there from the General Secretary of the Union all the steps that they took. And I wanted that to come out. That this was not people waking up one morning and saying we're going on strike. They took all the steps. I think Sister Coretta is coming back in. Yes, she's back in. Let us bring her in. Yes, Coretta.
They do this to me all the time and every time. When I was on the Essequibo Coast, they shut the live off, and then when I go on air, they shut it off, they interfere with it. But that's not gonna stifle our message, it will go out there. Yes. So we wrote to them indicating to them that we're going on industrial action, rather than them writing to say, look, come on, let's talk. They were brazen enough to send to tell us that the strike is illegal and they would not have any part in that, because as far as they're concerned, the talks between the Ministry of Education and the GTU has not broken down. Now, you not in my house, I have to tell you where it is leaking. How dare you to want to tell me where my house is leaking when you don't live in my house? But the Minister of Labor now, Joe Hamilton, I often say it, he doesn't understand what labor is all about. And so he doesn't know how to labor for people. Rather than laboring for workers in this country, he seeks or sets out to suppress and oppress workers in this country. So rather than talking to us, the minister go out there on national television to say that the strike is illegal and teachers will be penalized and what the government will do and what the government will not do. Well, our members have made it clear. You do what you have to do because we are doing what we have to do. And so that's where we ended up. When all possible avenues would have been exhausted, that's where we ended up. And so our teachers are out in their numbers all across this country. And let me tell you what, the ministry, by extension, the government of Guyana, is a lot of pride with them. They are hurting seriously. But the Minister of Education, and Barra Jagdeo, and Ashley Singh, how they could be very pompous, and now the president is being drafted into that. When we thought that he was a kind-hearted man, we've recognized that he doesn't care about teachers, more so the children of this land, because his son is at a private school. So he doesn't care. And I'm hoping that our parents are listening. Because when these people will come to your communities to tell you all sorts of things, you must remind them, you suffered, my child, 2 weeks of learning. You took away 2 weeks of learning or into contact with my children. You did that to us. And so when our children misbehave, you cannot send the police out there to shoot them down because you would have caused it. And we don't want to hear anything from you. And I want to ask parents, come out and join with the teachers. When you come out and you join with the teachers, because I know many of our parents are public servants and they are feeling the same squeeze that teachers are feeling. Nurses under pressure. You see how many of our nurses are leaving? The police under pressure. The office assistant under pressure. The clerk under pressure. The supervisors under pressure. The HR person, all of them are under pressure. They're feeling the same squeeze. You know what it feels like when a teacher got to come out of his or her home in the mornings with one side bus fare? You know what that feels like? Mm-hmm. You know what it feels like when you wake up in the morning and all you have is some water and some sugar to make either some lime wash or some sugar water for you to drink and to give to your child. Today I was in Bartica and a teacher said to me, she said, Miss, I'm a single parent. And we've seen many of our single parents, our teachers who are single parents, doing short videos. She said to me, she said, Miss, nobody don't know my struggle. She said, I am out here because there are many days I cannot afford to send my daughter to play school. So she said, no, she said many days her daughter cannot attend play school. And I'm saying, why? She said, Miss, because I can't afford it. Many days I don't have anything to put in her lunch kit. She said, that is the reason why I'm out here. I am not out here because of me. I'm out here because of my daughter, because of those teachers who are in training college, and because of those young men and women who will want to join the teaching profession. I am here to pave the way for them so that they don't have to go through this hardship. So when the minister flounces herself around with her Louis Vuitton bag and this kind of shades and so on, they can't understand the plight of teachers because they don't have to face the marketplace. They don't have to stand up at the bus park and wait for a bus. They don't have to go to the supermarkets. They don't have to go out there and buy gas. They don't have to do anything like that because they got from maid right down. Outside of that, they got telephone allowances that they received. They got entertainment allowances that they received. And all the allowances that you think about, plus the monies that they siphon off from all the ministries. So they can't feel what teachers are feeling. So they can't understand what is happening with us. But I am thankful that our teachers, because they know of their plight, they have decided, APNU or PPP, as long as you mess with us, we will be on the streets.
As long as you mess with us, you can be on the streets. Coretta, obviously when the strike started last week, the turnout, you had estimated it after the first couple of days to have been around 55 to 60%, and now you're saying 85%. What do you think from your observation? And you've been traveling around. You told me the other day you were up in Bobis, you were in Bartica today. What do you think are the factors that are playing in to teachers saying, look, I might have been a little bit hesitant at first, but now I'm coming out on strike. What do you think are the factors that are at play here?
The very bold and abrasive missive and interviews that are being conducted by the ministers of education and recently by the president of this country, where the president, rather than saying to this nation, look, I am prepared to talk with the teachers, he gave the teachers abusing out. And so those factors have influenced the teachers who came out today and would have influenced the teachers who will come out tomorrow and the next day, and we will continue to sit out there. You know what? When we see spirited citizens coming out there, loaning their buses to teachers, bringing a coal pot and wood and rice and oil and chicken, and if you notice, our teachers are cooking right on site.
Yeah.
It is saying to us that what we are doing, it cannot be illegal. It cannot be illegal what we are doing, because if that's the kind of support we are getting from public-spirited citizens, it means that they are in sympathy with us. But it's only the PPP don't understand that. And you know what? They went out there to talk about Coretta McDonald. And of course, Dr. Hines, you know me by now. I got very, very thick skin. So the things they say don't bother me. Oh, where Coretta McDonald got money from to buy a Lexus. Right away, you notice that they're pulling me in a category as if this low life can't drive a Lexus.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
she's a low life. She's a black woman, so she's not supposed to drive a Lexus. So I had to respond to a couple of them. Because you deemed me to be a low life, it's hurting you that I'm driving a Lexus. And according to them, a new modeled Lexus that you can't drive. So that will continue to hurt you. They call me racist. They call me hard face. They call me mop head. They call me nitwit. All kinds of things they call me. But you know what? I've been patient with them. But now I'm no longer patient with them because I said to them yesterday, don't come on my Facebook page and put foolishness there, because anytime you put it there, I will answer you accordingly. So I had to tell a young man, I had to make two young men famous and a young lady. The young lady is the personal assistant of the Minister of Education. And that's to tell you how low these people are, that she cannot say to her personal assistant, you should not be attacking Miss McDonald. So her personal assistant, Andrea Premnott, she is on my page and she's putting up all sorts of things. Devo Posad, he lives in the US, but he's on my page putting up a whole lot of stupidness. And some Viren, somebody is on my page, apart from Abel, somebody, Siram or whatever is his name. But you know what? Let me tell you, I had to tell them last night, get the hell off my page. If you don't like my post, block and delete me. Don't write foolishness under my post. Write it on your page. And when you write it on my page, I will tell you what I want to tell you. So the one, Devo, he wants to be Devika. So I had to address him in that capacity. He wants to be Devika. The other one, Viren, he, like I said to him, he was my father's stepson. You see, there's feel I don't know the business. So I had to expose that he was my father's stepson. And because my father is Afro-Guyanese, he was upset with it. So he vexed with me too. So I had to let the people know that's why he's upset with me. And that's why he put in all these derogatory comments there. Well, the other one, Andrea Premnott, Melly Mel will address her. So I haven't really been addressing her the way I want to address her. But I will I'm saying on this program, if they feel, and mind you, when you answer them correctly, they cry now foul and they're playing victims. And oh, imagine Coretta McDonald, a public figure, and Coretta McDonald, an MP, and Coretta McDonald, the General Secretary. So you could tell the General Secretary what you want to tell her. You could tell the MP what you want to tell her, and tell yourself that the MP's mouth is in her mother's belly. Well, sorry, not this MP. I will not get to the gutters, but I will give you the most suitable of responses when you come on my page. Don't come on my page to talk foolishness. You have your own page. Right. I don't go on their pages. But you know what? All of them want to be my friend. And when they come on my page, they can't take what I'm saying. And mind you, I don't fabricate stories. I tell the truth. Because if you see the comments that persons are putting there under their comments, you would recognize that some persons know them and persons are giving them their stories there too. We got to some Indira Jafar Ali. Well, I have to find her. I don't want to find her to assault her or anything like that. I just want her to see Coretta McDonald in person. So she doesn't have to ask me where I get monies from to buy my Lexus. I will tell her then. And then they come up with GTU's financial status. I mean, you were in government for 23 years. How you didn't know that GTU's books were not in order? Huh? But all of a sudden now, because GTU has brought its members out, GTU's financial status is questionable. Well, I want you to tell us what is happening with GAUs. Tell us what is happening with the PPP, because for the longest while, the PPP had no conference or congress, whatever they want to call it. And we don't hear anything about the auditing of their books. They must tell us those things. But you know what? Outside of all that I've mentioned there, our teachers are not budging. Because over the years, we have been giving to our teachers. And today I saw a young man by the name of some Campbell. He has a whole list of benefits that were derived for teachers out of the union's agitation. A whole list he has there on Facebook, and he's putting it by the years. In addition to that, I want to say every year we have an awards ceremony for our teachers. And this year, Martin D'Souza, who is the deputy chief Hinterland Affairs Office, or wherever he be. He was at that forum and he saw how many teachers were honored by the GTU. And these same barefaced people coming out here to say GTU not doing anything for its members. Every year on World Teachers Day, we have a forum for our teachers. The year before, we were on the Essequibo Coast. Last year, we were in Region 6 at New Amsterdam. Every year, we try to go somewhere else to ensure that our teachers all across this country benefit. At Mother's Day, at Father's Day, we buy tokens for our teachers. Valentine's Day, we buy tokens for our teachers. I mean, we can't give all of the teachers at the same time, but we have a rotation because we do names. So if we come to your corner, we know that David Hines got one already, so we're not going to give David Hines again. Outside of those issues, we have our Women's Advisory Committee, where we have members from every branch, our 42 branches. They usually have their annual general meetings. They usually do uplifting programs for women. They do professional development session using health personnel who would talk about cancer, all the different types of cancers, how we must take care of ourselves. They do conflict management. So these vagabonds who go out there, and I have to be very brutal with them, can't be nice with them anymore. These vagabonds go out there to say GTU has not been doing anything for its members. Oh, the GTU officers, Mark Light and Coretta McDonald, they pocketing off the monies and they're buying big fancy vehicle. And Mark Light got big fancy house and he got auto dealer business. You know, these people they just set out there to put our lives at risk. But I want to tell them something. The day anything happened to me around here, I say no more. So you put up my vehicle out there and get your scums to attack me when I'm down the road. You will get the full blunt of it. Because I've never gone out there to put out Priya Manik Chan's vehicle. And I can put out her vehicle. I can put where she lives at Windsor Estate. I can put that out. But I don't have time for that. But since you could put my vehicle out there, it means you have declared war on me. And I will return the very same favor. So they better tell their colleagues, they tell their scums, don't mess with me. Don't mess around me. Don't mess around my colleagues, officers of the GTU, because we will mash you down anytime you decide that you're messing with any one of our officers. You know, these people are ridiculous. And I am so angry that if I see one of them, I wouldn't say. But let me remind them, when the coalition was in office and we struck for 9 days, not one teacher lost pay from his or her salary. None. That is caring. That is what love is. But you are telling us now that you are going to deduct monies from our teachers' salary. If you don't want our teachers to be on the streets, then talk to the teachers' representative. Talk to us. Just the same way you can talk to Gao, why you can't talk to us? Why is it so impossible for you to talk to us? So the teachers are right to say, Ali saying one Guyana, Priya saying no Guyana. You know,
Yes.
the teachers are right to say that. Ali is saying, have patience and wait. And Priya saying they can't get. You know? And that is a fact. When you analyze everything that has happened that led up to this, we are seeing it as being honest and truthful, that the PPP have no care for teachers because the majority of our teachers are Afro-Guyanese. And it is the same fate that is being meted out to the public servants in this country.
Yes, and Coretta, speaking about public servants and others, Coretta McDonald, she's gonna come back in. They're messing with the feed, messing with her feed tonight, but she's coming back in. Coretta McDonald, combative as ever. Combative as ever. She's back in. Coretta, talking. I know they're messing with the feeder tonight. But Coretta, talking about other categories of workers, I noticed the Caribbean Union of Teachers have come out in support of you.
Yes.
I noticed the Public Service Union has come out in support.
Mhm.
Tell us, where else have you been getting pledges of support organizationally in Guyana and outside of Guyana?
Well, we received support from the University of Guyana Union. We have received support from the Guyana Trades Union Congress and some of the individual members, even though there's this cover letter coming from the Guyana Trades Union Congress, individual unions have sent us solidarity messages. We have also received solidarity messages from the Windward Islands Teachers Union. We have received solidarity message from Belize Teachers Union. And again, even while the CUT, which is the governing body, would have sent us their solidarity messages, individual unions still feel inclined to send us those kinds of messages of solidarity because they understand what teachers are faced with. You know, Dr. Hines, if you were to compare the salary of a head teacher or a principal in Guyana as against that of a principal in St. Lucia or in Trinidad or in Jamaica, you would see where our teachers are as if our teachers are slaves and they're begging for crumbs, you know? And that's how the PPP feel that they must always treat you. You look around what they're doing in this country. Rather than teaching citizens to fish, and I'm just going to use this one, they prefer to come give you half of a fish. You know why? Because they want you to run behind them again. And then they can come and give you a quarter so that you can come full force again. Because remember, quarter is less than a half. So they keep you like that all the time, running behind them. Rather than dealing with the teacher's wage issue, the government has adopted the position of let them stay out there. We know they're gonna break just now, so let us stay right there. And when they break, we can cut the salaries. Well, you know, you can go right ahead because I said earlier, corporate sponsors are talking to us, and they're supporting the teachers out there. And we've had coming to us from overseas many Guyanese teachers who are saying, I had to run because of the same thing. And they are pouring in their support financially. They are pouring in their support. And so our teachers in Maruca Region 1, they're able to hire a boat to come to the Central Point, Santa Rosa. Our teachers in Region 9, they're able to do that because overseas-based Guyanese are sending finances to them. We have our teachers in the Pomeroon. They're able to hire a boat because overseas-based Guyanese teachers, former teachers, are sending support to them. So, and if you look around, we have our teachers on the Esquivel Coast cooking on spot. Our teachers in Bartica cooking on spot. Our teachers in Kanji, in New Amsterdam, in Georgetown, everywhere. Let me tell you what, we have 700 cases of water at our union hall that was donated by public-spirited citizens. We have juice. We have, when I tell you, all sorts of donations are pouring in, and every day persons are calling us to say, what else can we do for you? Can we do some packages that you can distribute to teachers with some chow mein and some rice and a bottle of oil and something like that? Can we do some? And we're saying, go right ahead. Go right ahead and do that for our teachers. We have no difficulty with that. So if they think that they're punishing us, let me say to them, think again. You are going to be punished, and we will see the backs of the PPP pretty soon if they don't change their attitude. And you know what? When you look around and you recognize, if the PPP were sensible, they would know that you cannot invest monies in infrastructure, and the people who are supposed to be manning these institutions, you're paying them no mind. Huh? Who will teach the children when you build all of these schools? Mind you, they like to twist your words, eh? Mind you, we are not opposed to schools being built, but you can't build new schools when you're not treating the practitioners who have to perform in those schools. You're not treating them well. You want to jump out there to build new structures when you got structures that are falling down. Just the other day, we saw St. John the Baptist with the pupils with umbrellas in their classroom. We saw St. John's College. We have the new Campbellville Secondary, the front building. We have David Rose Secondary. We have the North Rumville that they're rebuilding. But if you see the work they're putting out there, you know, We got schools in Linden, the Mackenzie High School. A teacher had to fall down and break both hands for this wicked government to pay some attention there. You know, we had just the other day flea infestation in Linden. 13 schools were out. But you know what? They're not paying Linden any mind because Linden did not vote for them at local government elections, and they don't vote for them at general elections. So they're not paying them any mind. But you go to some other areas, you see what happened there. You see what happened there. And when you talk about these things, they want to tell you that you're racist and that you're racist. But this is not being a racist. This is being factual. This is what happens in Guyana, in our school system. Let me tell you a little more. When you go to the departments of education, in some departments, you want to know if you're in Bollywood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I am saying if we're talking one Guyana, why can't we have a mixture of education officers? If you look at teachers who are being pulled out from their schools and seconded to the departments of education to perform duties, you check the breakdown. There is one particular race that dominates. You check central ministry, the assistant chief education officers that you have there. You check and see who are those people. I have seen them sidelined Carol Ben. I've seen them sideline Marcia Paddy. I've seen them sideline Patrick Chinadu. I've seen them sideline some people like Samantha Williams and some other officers who just decide to pack up their traps and leave. Because you're moving, you're shifting them off to the side and you're bringing other officers to replace them, but you're allowing them to maintain their salary and all the other benefits. Nonsense. If we're talking one Guyana, then every citizen across this country must be treated equally. But this is Priya Manik Chand. This is Anil. This is the work of Bharat Jagdeo. This is the work of Ashni Singh. And this is the work of Irfan Ali now, where they're seeking to build empires for persons who look like them. And for persons who don't look like them, they want to have you crawl. And for persons who look like them, but they are following on the right path, they crucify you too. Because many of our indigenous teachers, many of our Indo brothers and sisters, they are victimizing them because they are on the strike with us. And that's how wicked the PPP are. That's how wicked they are. It is okay. When GAU strikes, we don't hear about cutting pay. We hear the president, oh, the government will be meeting with them. The government will be meeting with them. But you're meeting with them, but maybe the GTU got leper around there, so you can't meet with them. So they probably have to interface with the Messiah to become clean, and then you're going to meet with them. But you know, whether you like it or not, they will have to meet with us. They will have
Coretta,
to.
The union said you were striking for 2 weeks in the first instance. 1 week is gone. We have started the second week. Is that timeline still in play? That you are going to strike up until Friday and then close up and go home? Or...
Well, we said that because we were hoping that the government would have been sensible enough to not even allow the strike action to take place.
Yes.
And since you've allowed 1 week to go and we're into the second week, then our teachers, you know, we wanted to say to our teachers, look, while we understand the sun out there, and if you know you're hearing my voice and you're noticing my face and so on, we said, look, we didn't want to have you in the sun all the time. Let's let's stay in, let's find come to our union hall and so on. And you know what? Our teacher said, no way, we're not coming off the streets. So with that kind of energies and positivity coming from your members, you know that as leaders, you can't sidetrack because they'll throw you over and do what they have to do. And so I am hoping that good sense will prevail and that this installed regime will be ready and willing to talk with us. We are ready to talk with them. If they're ready to go to arbitration, we are ready for that. If they're ready for conciliation, we are ready for the talks. But let me say to them, we are not going to get involved in idle talks. We are going to get involved in talks that will bring out positive. And I repeat that. positive and tangible benefits, which means that these talks, while we're having them, we will put timelines to these talks. And after maybe a week or 2 weeks, based on the issues, we know which one we can give a deadline of a week to, what we can give a deadline of 2 weeks to, what we can give a deadline of 3 weeks to. So we're not going to get involved in idle talks. In addition to that, I want them to understand that when you come to talk to us, that issue of the issue with that letter that you sent to us to say you, with immediate effect, you are stopping the deductions of our teachers' salary, you will have to reinstate that. Just note, let them just know that. You know,
so the conditions.
It is so wicked that teachers have given them orders to, one, deduct monies from my salaries because I'm a member of the credit union. They have not stopped that. Teachers have given them orders to say, I would like you to deduct monies from my salaries to pay the bank because I have a mortgage at the bank. They have not stopped that. Teachers have given you the approval to deduct monies from their salaries because they owe courts or somewhere else. But you have not stopped those deductions, but you've stopped the deductions that teachers have given you the approval for, to deduct $700 from my salary and remit it to the union. If that is not wickedness, tell me what is. Tell me what is, if that is not wickedness. And then they expect the union officials to come out there and smile with them and to speak in good faith. We cannot, because you have declared war on us. So we cannot speak in good faith unless you reverse some of these wickedness that you've set out to do.
Clearly, there are conditions for talks, and Coretta McDonald has listed them here tonight. Coretta, come Friday, if the government does not come to the table, more likely than not, you will extend the strike. So we will be waiting to hear that announcement on Friday. But your first line of action is that you want to go to the table and talk.
That's our first line of action.
The first line of action is to go to the table and talk. And then once you talk, it must be positive talk. It mustn't be idle talk.
And so when you're coming to the table with us, there are some outstanding issues there where you have to submit numbers and the finances. You must come with that. Don't come for us to talk over anything. We ain't talking over anything. Come with the information that you were supposed to have submitted while we were talking before, while we attempted to talk before. Come with those kinds of information. But I want to say finally to us, look how wicked this government is. We have had since 2006, one condition in our agreement that says the government will give to the union every year $20 million. And that $20 million is for us to put in a fund, a revolving fund, a housing revolving fund, so that teachers can be drafted into that fund and they can receive monies to either start building a home or to do renovations to their home. Well, first it was to build a home. And then we recognize that many of our teachers, they have homes. And so they might want to do some renovations. So we added that clause in. During the 2015-2020, the PS then at Education, Mr. Vibert Welch, while we were talking, while we had the task force that President Granger commissioned, we were talking about this revolving fund. And we were talking about it there again because we approached the commercial banks and they were saying to us that we were giving you our monies, but we still had to pay interest on those monies if you were to administer this project. And when we worked it out, it came right down to the same day as if you're going to the bank to take a loan on a regular. And we said, this cannot work. So those monies have now been increased to about $400 or more million that we have in a bank account between the GTU and the Ministry of Education. So Vibert Welch decided that, look, since none of the commercial bank want to do this, then we'll have to find somewhere to get it done. We approached the Ministry of Finance. They said they couldn't do it because they had started something at one time and they couldn't do it. So we said, all right. Mr. Vibert Welch came up with the idea that, look, I am going to put in place an entire unit at the Ministry of Education where we are going to employ persons to put into this unit, and they will be responsible for manning this project. And so we started going through the persons that you would want there, the qualifications. We started putting out the terms of reference, what teachers must supply, how they will receive the monies, how they will start paying back these monies, and so on. That project never got on its footing because we had the no confidence motion, and that threw everything off balance. And so while the government was busy getting their act together, this part of the process was delayed. However, when we had after the elections, we had then just excuse me. My sinus started acting up because of the Dustin Bartica.
Yeah.
At Linden on Friday. Anyhow, we said, look, we couldn't get it off. And so elections came and we had this 5 months whole rigmarole story and so on of recount and so on. But while all of that was happening, the GTU was being proactive. So we approached Mr. Trevor Ben at the Public Service Credit Union, because many of our teachers are members of that union. And we're saying they have a similar system like what we want to have. So teachers would borrow monies from them and teachers would sign the deduction letter and it would be taken out from their salary. So let's approach him. We approached Trevor Ben, and Trevor Ben gave us a comprehensive package. Let me use Efren Ali's word. He gave us a comprehensive document highlighting every aspect of the actions that will happen if they were to be tasked with administering this project. In that project, we agreed then that, look, since teachers don't have to pay the interest, and the bank was saying that the interest had to cover labor costs and material costs because they got to use their ink, they got to use
seem to Coretta McDonald, we seem to have a freeze there. We're so glad that you all have stayed with us all through the program. Clearly, Sister Coretta has brought us up to speed with where things are, and the news is good. The news is very, very, very good. Let us continue to support the union. Let us continue to support the teachers. Let us throw in our lot with the teachers. This struggle is a struggle for bread and justice. Bread and justice. And so we here on Politics 101, we're very, very, very happy to be giving coverage to this issue and to continue to support the teacher wherever you are. You can get in touch with the teachers union and they will tell you how they can help. Parents, please support your teachers. The other public servants, please support your teachers. Other workers, please support your teachers. We are hearing talk about the general strike, but that will come in the fullness of time. The objective is not to strike. The objective is to get rewards for our teachers. And if the rewards are not coming, then the workers, the teachers, have no alternative than to continue industrial. They're well within their right to do so. They are well within their right to do so. The teachers have a right. That's their God-given right, their constitutional right, their legal right. Let's bring in Sister Coretta to close us out.
You know, I'm smiling, Dr. Hines, I'm smiling because they've done this to me quite a lot of times when I'm in studio. They've done this to me quite a lot of time. And, you know, we had to resort to using our backup system. But don't worry, the message will get out there. So we got Mr. Ben and we said, all right, we'll look at it. $100,000 to $150,000 is reasonable. And that would be admin cost. So for teachers to for them to print documents, for teachers to sign, for printing, for buying ink, for their computer, whatever. We said, fine. Now, we took that proposal to the Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chand. You know, when we took that proposal to her, thinking that we were all excited about this project, because like I said, it has been since 2006 that part, that condition in the agreement was signed, and it never got on its footing. Now, when we took that proposal to her, you know what she said? But as soon as she learned that that proposal was coming from Trevor Ben from the GPSU credit union, she said, "No way, no way,
Wow.
no way, nothing for her government. None of our government's money will go into the hands of Trevor Ben." You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to go deep into it, but I'm sure persons are sensible out here and they understand exactly what is happening.
Yeah.
So that housing project is right where it's at from the time we started. The house lot business is another condition in the agreement that we have not heard them addressing at any forum. But you know what they're telling our teachers? That our teachers should go and line up like every ordinary Guyanese in the line to apply for a house lot. When we have a provision that we signed on to in that document, and it just keep rolling over. Every year it rolls over. It rolls over, you know. But let me say, this government is wicked, and the Bible speaks to wickedness. And when they think that all is going to be well, or it seems to them as if all is well and good, there will be sudden destruction. The Bible said so. The Bible says so. And many of us are religious persons. Many of us, whether we are Christians or Muslims or Hindus, the three main religions, or whether we are Baha'is or we are Rastafaris or we are Jehovah's Witnesses or full Pentecostals, all of us, this nation is a nation that looks up to the Almighty, whoever we call him. And when the people from this land begin to pray, castles and palaces and kingdoms will be broken. You know, when we had the issue with Venezuela, the president was running helter-skelter to meet with the leader of the opposition. We knew then that Guyana was ours. We knew then that Essequibo belonged to us. We knew then that we had to play not one Blusaki. We knew then that we had to play, this land is my land, this land is your land. You know, we didn't want to hear those songs because it reminded them of LFS Burnham. But when Venezuela started putting pressure, they remembered those songs, that we should sing those songs. The time will come when this government will be reminded of who teachers are. And they are going to get the licks of Lisbon for failing to attend to the needs of teachers in this country.
And what a way to end, Coretta. It's a pleasure having you. I know that you are so busy. We continue to support you. Long before the strike was called, we continue to defend you against the wicked attacks from the government, because soldiers are soldiers, and it's quite evident, as Bob Marley said, soon we'll find out who the real revolutionaries, because I want my people to be tricked by mercenaries. Thank you very much, my sister, and I'll be checking.
You're so welcome. And I just want to remind our people that every day we must come out with the chant that says, Pharaoh, let my people go, because these are the pharaohs in our land. The PDP, they're the pharaohs in our land, and we're going to beat you. We're going to pray, and we're going to stand together, because we're going to break that empire that you've built to punish and oppress ordinary people in this country. Teachers, long live the teachers of Guyana. Long live the parents of this country. Long live our children. And I want to remind them that the light is just beyond the tunnel there, and we're going to get there very soon.
Thank you very much, Coretta, and I'll be checking in back with you in a few days. Thanks.
Thank you much. Good night, and do be safe. Bye-bye.
Coretta McDonald there, the ever combative Coretta McDonald. It's a pivotal moment in our history. When you live in a country like Guyana, we have pivotal moments almost every day. And we have got to seize the time. Seize the time. This is a time for us to band together. If the teachers win, then we all win, because teachers carry the nation on their backs. Let us stand with the teachers. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we will continue our coverage of the teachers' strike, the implications of the teachers' strike, the consequences of the teachers' strike. Because when our people are on the move, then those who occupy the seats of power tremble, tremble. They must decide whether they want to war with the teachers or they want to treat the teachers as normal, regular citizens with a right to demand fair and just compensation for their labor. See you all tomorrow night.